Hello, hello, hello. What's going on, everybody? Family, how you all doing today? Welcome to another episode of Refocused. I'm Anthony,
And I'm Essence.
and we got a pretty interesting topic today, just to say the least. Just to say the least. Uh,
Yeah, with here Refocus, we do a lot of discussion and reaffirming and reestablishing God's purpose with relationships, culture, and just holistically. So today we're going to talk about time.
yeah,
And this episode is our third episode, and didn't think that we would do an episode like this so early into our journey with Refocused. But as you all saw, that this episode is dedicated to someone that we both love dearly, who has gone on to be with the Lord. So we're going to honor her today, and we're going to talk about time.
yep, yep, yeah. It's one of those things that I feel like a lot of times we can. It sounds cliche, but a lot of times we can really take it for granted. A lot of times we can either get in our own way. We can get caught up in rest and relaxation and all of these different things. But man, the as you saw, Amber, who we're kind of dedicating this to today, was really like the opposite of that. You know?
Yeah, I'm fine. When it comes to time, we kind of think we own it sometimes. We think we own it, and we say things like, I got time, or I'm taking my time. And, just to accomplish whatever it is that we're looking to accomplish, or to reach out to somebody that we love and care about, we take our time.
Yeah.
And I realized that, and I stated this earlier this week, that if we aren't careful, we will take our time taking our time. And you'll find yourself robbing yourself of many things, many opportunities, many chances to speak to someone or build relationships, whatever it may be. We rob ourselves, and we honestly rob God too. Yeah. And we're going to talk about that today. In a world where success and building wealth and all of those types of things, we're obsessed with being busy. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be ambitious, and I am not saying that we should not be doing things on purpose. We absolutely should. But we're going to talk about learning how to balance those things, and making sure that we're not neglecting our relationships with people. And on the opposite side of that, where there are people who aren't really moving. They just kind of stand still. So we're going to talk about all of those things today.
Yeah. And, I think one of the easiest things that we can really lead it off with is the fact that, we don't know how much time we have. We just don't know. I think a lot of times we can move in such a way where we take the average lifespan or the average life expectancy, and we make that the rule for our own lives. Living to be 80, 90 years old, mesh that with the different memes that we see floating around talking about all these different celebrities that got their starts late in life. Oprah getting fired at 45, and J.K. Rowling not writing her first book till 30 something, and all these different things. And, we can say to ourselves, oh yeah, it's cool. We got time. We're going to be okay. We're going to be good. And there's an element to that. But also we know that our timeline is it's written, right? God has that pretty much figured out in his plan, but we're not aware of that. We're not aware of that. Yeah, we could live 80 years. And that be that. But we could also be gone tomorrow. And it's so interesting like that. That's that thing that said, we have to treat every day like it's a gift. We have to work or move or treat each day like it's our last. I like those cliches like that, because it's true. You never know. With our cousin, we didn't see this coming at all. But to see the impact in certain areas of her life that she had on other people is very evident that, like, okay, this is a real thing. Like, this is something that we really have to take awareness to,
Yeah. Just to kind of go back on some of those things that you were saying. Like, we see those quotes and we see people who they're like, oh, okay, Oprah or whoever it may be got these late starts. Those are to encourage people who may have waited, that there's still time and they should get busy. But on the other end of that, on the other side of that coin, that is where some people will take it as an opportunity to just take their time. And the reality is this, is God has given us all gifts. He's given us talents, and we all have a purpose over our lives. But the reality is we get so wrapped up in doing things or consumed in doing things our own way, or whether we are in search of living the life that we deem that we wanted to live, or chasing what culture deems successful rather than God. The reality is this: if you are not emptying yourself out daily, if you are not allowing God to use you according to his will, then you really aren't going after what it is that you're supposed to be going after. You're still wasting time. And so how are you using your gifts? Do you even know what your gifts are? And the reality is that sometimes people they get stuck in a position or stuck in a place in their life, and they're like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. So they just chill. And it's like, well, no, you got to get out and you got to move. Right. And so one thing I would tell people, it's like somebody looking for a job. They're like, I ain't got no job. I'm just going to sit here and watch TV all day. Well, that don't make sense, because ain't no job just going to come knocking on your door. Like, I expect God to do everything. You got to get up and move. But the reality is when you stand before God, you want to know that you did everything. You used every ounce of whatever it is that he put inside of you in the time that he gave you here. And what's amazing about our cousin is she did that. In 31 years of life, she's accomplished more than a lot of people that I know. A lot of people well over her age. And honestly, we would ask, how the heck did she do it all? She accomplished so many things just on paper, and then off of paper, and who she was able to be in people's lives. And I think people lose sight of that. They're in pursuit of, and you should be ambitious in doing what it is that God has called you to do, but he also doesn't want you to neglect people. And I think that's what happens a lot of the time. Amber went to college, she got married, she got her bachelor's degree. She became a doctor, got her PhD. She defended that, okay? We had the privilege of watching her give her dissertation, where she did an amazing job. The amount of the youth that she's impacted, being active in her church, being an amazing wife, being a daughter, being a sister, being a friend, a cousin. The fact that she was where she was, yet never ever allowed distance to keep her from being supportive of whatever it is that you had going on, it's amazing. We get tired just by going to work, and we come home, we're ready to crash, binge watch some shows and go to sleep. But not Amber. She went and went and went. She emptied herself out daily.
Yeah. I think that's what we all want to be able to say, come the end of our time. We want to be able to say that we were good and faithful servants, right? Like, we want to be able to say that we were really using the gifts that God gave us to impact the kingdom, to grow the kingdom, to be servants in the kingdom. We want to be able to be a part of that, right? But like Esther was saying, we can let a lot of outside, a lot of extracurricular things get in the way. And I think that kind of leads me at least to like our gifts. I know that, the topic of, your gifts or what your purpose is, or all these different things it's a very big thing, especially, when people start to get into like their late 20s, early 30s. Really try, like, that becomes an important conversation to a lot of people, because they want to know what they're here for. We want to know that we have some type of meaning, or actually we know that we do have some type of meaning, and that's why it kind of irks people so bad if that meaning isn't present, especially by a certain amount of time that we think it's supposed to be present by. But when we have gifts, when we know what our gifts are, when we're able to move and operate in those gifts, that's when things really become prevalent to us. That's when we know that we can move and act and shape our lives in these certain ways by actually using those gifts, and more importantly, to impact people. That's like Paul talks about, when he's talking about, more spiritual gifts and stuff like that. But we all have our own things that we're gifted with, our own things that God blessed us with innately. And like Paul says, we're supposed to use those things for the kingdom. We're supposed to use those things for the body. That we're supposed to help each other out. Now, they're talking about this too. There are certain things that, we can kind of move in, especially when the Holy Spirit kind of gets down on us. But just those innate gifts that we have, they're supposed to go out. Like it's not an internal thing. And the interesting thing about that is, like, when you use those gifts, when you're actually moving and walking in that, it'll pave the rest of your life. Like Amber's gift, easily, anybody would say it is her ability to love.
Man.
Like
outwardly.
No holds barred ability to love. And the personality, the warmth, the invitingness. I mentioned this at her funeral service the other day, that, I refer to her as like, that's my cousin, right? But everyone who was in that room felt the exact same way. Everyone in that room that day felt like they were A1 best friends with Amber, because that's just how she would make you feel. That's just how friendly and inviting and caring she was. And that was her gift. And that allowed her to do so many different things. The connections and the relationships that she built, it's important. Like it's important for us to take note of that. The ways that we move and shake and the interactions that we have with people will further push our reach and our impact for the kingdom itself. And it's just things like that we have to take note of and be aware of. Yeah. Everyone's gift may not be, bubbly attitude or whatever it may be, but your gift is still going to be used in a positive way for the kingdom, and it's going to be able to help somebody else in the kingdom. So.
I think when it comes to Amber, I think it all just was rooted in love. Her ability to love was amazing. And that love built those connections that you were talking about. If you have a best friend and you for females, I know dudes don't really be tripping like that, but you got a best friend and somebody else calls your best friend they best friend. Oh, you don't be bringing them over here that ain't that. And I'm your best friend. That's how Amber made you feel. It's kind of crazy how you can build that sort of depth with so many people. And so being at the funeral, like you were saying, there were so many people who felt that close to her. She had a way of making people feel that as if they were her favorite. Even if somebody else was more so her favorite, you wouldn't know. Because she loved on everybody just that equally. And so she did that flawlessly while in pursuit of what God had told her to do. She didn't waste no time. She didn't waste time in using her gifts and her talents. She did not waste her time in doing whatever it is that God told her to do. And, we had the privilege of really just talking to her husband and him saying, even to her own detriment at times, Amber gave, not just to people, but she emptied herself out for Christ daily. I think what happens is great to be ambitious. It's great to be in pursuit of things. One, the things that God wants you to be in pursuit of. But I think today is what we take so much for granted, being in search of success and wealth. And I've heard it said so many times, well, I'm focused. If they ain't going where I'm going, they got to be left behind. And it's like, granted, everybody can't go with you. Yeah. But it's already the attitude of, I'm ready to dump whoever it is that I need to dump. As long as I get to where I need to go. It's about me.
Yeah.
and not about anybody else. I heard a quote that was said, and it said, if you're not careful, you'll find yourself surrounded by everything, yet have nothing. And it was so profound to me because you see or hear so many stories of people with the wealth that you want to obtain, yet be so unhappy, yet not have anyone around them. And so Amber was the epitome of, I'm putting everybody on my back.
Yep.
And I'm going for it.
Yep.
And I'm going to make everybody feel the love. I'm going to do all those things. And you kind of sit back here and like, dang, did I love her as much? Or did I show her the love? Did I make her feel as loved as she made me?
Yeah.
And that should always be our goal. We should be wanting to make people feel loved. But we just get so focused on ourselves. There is a balance that you have to find. Like I said, she's a huge inspiration for me. Her husband coined the fact that everybody should go at things at Amber percent. And I love it. And I'm so happy that he coined that because it was perfect.
Yeah, it's really dope.
It's perfect because everybody's like, oh, I'm going to give 100%. I'm going to give 100%. Amber did not give 100%.
Yep.
Amber gave over 100% all the time.
Push it to the limit.
She always pushed it to the limit. And she was tired a lot. Yep. And like I said, I was questioning, how are you able to do all these things? And the reality is you're supposed to be tired.
Yeah.
I remember telling Anthony this other day, and he's like, well, I'm not saying tired to the point of
your life is
in shambles and your health is deteriorating. Okay? Because some people get all tight in the butt like, what's self-care? Nobody said that you shouldn't self-care, but half of y'all ain't even did nothing. And y'all think you deserve some self-care. What I'm saying is, empty yourself out every single day to the point where you are tired, but you're so connected to the source that you're replenished daily. I mean, replenished to the point of it's not just sleep. You're running on whatever Jesus has given you. And so I think a lot of people struggle with that. I know we struggle with it.
Yeah.
We struggle with it. We were in pursuit of success. And almost to the point
from a cultural standpoint,
in pursuit of success, where we were even abandoning things, not intentionally, but we were just focused. Like, I mean, once I get to where I'm trying to go, then I'll call so-and-so. Once I get to where I'm trying to go, then I'll go hang out with them or kick it or whatever it is. Then I'll do that. Yeah. But I got to get where I'm trying to go first. Taking for granted time. Yeah. Taking for granted the time that we already had. It's arrogance. Yeah. And that was another quote. You're arrogant to believe, and this is for people who are even procrastinating, wasting time. I got time to do it. And people are saying, you got time, baby, take your time. You don't always need to be taking your time. Yeah. You need to be actually putting some fire under your butt to do some things. Because the quote says, procrastination is the arrogant... Is it procrastination? Procrastination is the arrogant assumption that you get another opportunity to do something that you already had an opportunity to do, a chance to do. And man, I made you look back like, dang, I do that all the time. Yeah. How arrogant is it that we do that? But yeah.
I think that ambition can kind of have sometimes a negative connotation to it a little bit. It's weird. Like, it's positive and negative. It's positive on the side of the culture that you were talking about. The get it, do this, and I'll worry about everything else later. Right. But then on the other side, it's looked at bad for the self-care. I gotta put this wall up, or I gotta look after me, and I gotta do this and I gotta do that. And for the side that's like, oh, ambition is bad, essentially, or it could be a bad word. Right. Like, ambition can kind of be a bad word sometimes. I think especially like in the church. I feel like especially in the church, like, ambition can kind of come off like, oh no, you're working for yourself. Well, hey, Hey, look,
Yeah.
there's an element to it. The Bible talks about, building and working with your hands and leaving an inheritance for your offspring, and all these
Right.
different things. The Bible
Right.
talks about that.
Right. You're supposed
That's
to.
but there's more to it, and I got a verse, I got a scripture that I really think embodied how Amber looked at things,
Yeah.
how Amber moved
Yeah.
in life. It's even more interesting. Maybe she did go as hard as she did because she had a spiritual inclination that she wasn't gonna have 80 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I really do believe that people can have spiritual inclinations when they get moving. You know how we'll hear people say, "Oh man, everybody for some reason, like a month before he passed, he just started making his rounds, like saying bye to everybody, making sure that, like just things like that." People have spiritual inclinations, and I honestly feel like that's what was going on with her. Her whole adult life. Leaving at the age of 31. But here's the scripture: First Thessalonians 4, verses 9 through 12. And this is about love and like ambition. So it says about brotherly love, you don't need me to write you because you yourselves are taught by God to love one another. In fact, you are doing this toward all the brothers and sisters in the entire region of Macedonia. But we encourage you, brothers and sisters, to do this even more, to do this one thing even more, to seek to lead a quiet life, to mind your own business, and to work with your own hands as we commanded you, so that you may behave properly in the presence of outsiders and not be dependent on anyone. That's exactly where Amber was with it, right?
Yeah.
Like she literally loved everybody. It said entire Macedonia. I kind of take that as the entire nation. She loved everybody, but she worked diligently.
Oh,
she worked diligently.
Yeah, she did.
So that she wouldn't be dependent on anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, PhD, principal, entrepreneur, wife, entrepreneur, like so many things, right? Like so many things that she would do and move and work in. And of course, that's not to put her in a box she's only these things.
No,
it's the way in which she moved, building and keeping relationships strong, moving in, like that's all counted. And she really was a great example of that scripture, how we should be moving ourselves, how we should be acting and working ourselves.
Yeah. I would encourage people to don't wait to go after your dreams. Don't wait and put off whatever it is that God has told you to do. Be obedient, be timely in it, because you really don't have time. You don't own it. You don't know what tomorrow brings. And don't wait to call somebody. Don't wait to fix something. Don't wait to say I love you. We take relationships for granted. Like Anthony was saying, we didn't expect this. That was far from anything that we expected. We thought, we all out here grinding. We got time. We gonna enjoy the fruits of our labor together. And the reality is we were supposed to enjoy more than just the fruits of our labor together. Mm-hmm. We were supposed to enjoy the journey together. And we have to be intentional with our relationships, because what happens is when somebody leaves, there are times where people are like, well, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. I didn't get closure. The reality is we didn't take it necessarily. The time was there. The opportunity presented itself. Yet we took our time. We robbed ourselves. When we talk about being intentional and maintaining and nurturing relationships, oftentimes we fail to do that. I'll say for Amber. So for those of you who are married, one of the scary things is to go into a family that you don't know, wondering if they're going to like you, if they're going to accept you, if how they're going to view you, period. I was super lucky that I met Amber through my husband. I would not have known her if I never married him. And we clicked instantly. She really was a rock even before we were married. When him and I were just dating before he even proposed to me, I was able to call her and vent to her. And honestly, I low-key feel like we were closer at some point. Mm-hmm. That's the Amber effect anyway. But I was able to lean on her so much. We were able to be a part of each other's weddings and just enjoy those moments, have trips together, and it was amazing. But at some point, we got wrapped up in life, and I wasn't as intentional with that relationship I should have been. And we have people that are like, they know I love them, they know how I feel about them. Yeah. But it's like, to be able to tell them one more time. Mm-hmm. It's so important. You want to do that, and you don't. And so now you have to bank on, I hope they knew.
Yep.
And that's a unfortunate place to be in because you just aren't sure. And so with that maintaining and those nurturing, call somebody every week. Go visit somebody. Go make them feel loved. And I know it can be like, but I got so much on my plate. Make room. Make room. I know with seeing her do it's possible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's your take on that?
Yeah. Seeing her do it takes a lot of excuses away. Mm-hmm. But even more, I think personally with us, there was a season where, I mean, like you were just saying, we did and would have missed more. Recently, there's like this year, mm-hmm. we kind of made a declaration to be more intentional.
Refocus.
To refocus. Yep, to refocus. Excuse me, guys. Allergies going crazy. But to refocus a lot more with the relationships that we currently have, our current standing relationships and old relationships mm-hmm. too. And I'm glad that we did. There was a season where we would have missed a lot. I'll say that. And I believe even like unnecessarily we would have missed a lot. But we decided that, hey, we need to make room for that. Not thinking that, we were going to lose anyone, but just for the simple fact that we want people to know that we do love them. Yeah. Like we do. Like there has to be, if I didn't ever make any time for Essence, she would be questioning some things.
Yeah.
And every relationship is the same way, I feel like.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying you got to see everybody every week, but man, even like your more distant relationships, if you will, or the relationships that aren't as close, mm-hmm. I would even go to say, man, at least an effort once, twice, 3 times a year. You know what I'm saying? Like at least a few times a year, like where it's intentional, like where it's really intentional, or an invite out to something that I got going on, or a phone call, or like something. And I'm glad that we did for our cousin's her dissertation defense. Man, it's crazy. She was always supportive. She would make sure that she would do everything that she saw us doing. Like she would be involved in it. As much as she had going on. Mm-hmm. If Essence or I posted about something that we're doing, she's there. She's sharing it. Yeah. She hyping us up. And she was present digitally, or if she can make it in person, she'd make it in person too. And for her dissertation defense, of course we got the invite and everything, and there's a season where we would have missed that.
We would have missed it. We would have
missed it.
We would have missed it.
Whether we were we were tired, we forgot, or we kind of just didn't feel like hopping on. It was just a Zoom call, right? We were moving and shaking too much, and there was a season where we would have missed that. But I'm glad we did. It was just a few months ago, and man, we got to be there and support our sister
as much as she
supported us. We got to say some words on the Zoom, so like she know that we was there. Like it was great. It was great, especially not knowing that we wouldn't have her just 2 months later. Like literally just 2 months later, we wouldn't have her. And if we would have missed that, we would have been wrecked.
Oh, we would have been wrecked. We would have been crushed.
We would have been wrecked.
Yeah, we would have been crushed if we had missed that. And that's when we were so ambitious, but we weren't focused.
Yep.
We thought we were, but we were not focused on the right things. We weren't focused on what Christ had told us to do. And so this doesn't mean that when we became kingdom focused that we lost ambition or that we don't work as hard.
Yeah.
It's just priorities have shifted. And it's not a self-centered way that we look at things anymore. It is looking at things of honoring Christ, but we know that when we honor Christ, we love his people and we're servants of his people as well. And so the reality is we can't get so consumed on the journey that we're on and we're like, well, I'm focused and you ain't coming with me if you ain't on the same thing. Well, the reality is sometimes a lot of times, God uses you to get to somebody else. And so just your life being an example, a pure example for somebody is a way to bring them to Christ. And so imagine the amount of times or the people that we may not have reached or the people we had an opportunity to minister to at some point, yet we ignored them because we were so focused on our own goals, our own dreams, and we really didn't make time for people. And so it's important to make sure that you're refocusing on what Christ wants you to do. Go at that 110 at amber percent.
Yep.
Go at that at amber percent, and you also make his people feel loved because that's what Christ would want you to do. When we're being intentional in these relationships, it's unfortunate because sometimes people have fallouts with other people and they'll use that as an excuse as to why they haven't reached out.
Yeah.
And, nobody now wants to acknowledge that their inability to have those difficult conversations with people is really just a show of their lack of emotional maturity. And so when they are gone, they start to have these regrets of, if I had just said this and it was never that big. And a lot of the things that people feud over it's not that big anyway, but no matter how big or how small, we should be looking to mend. I was just talking about this on Facebook the other day. Everybody loves discord and nobody really goes for forgiveness and mending anymore. They mask their lack of forgiveness or their lack of ability to handle the conflict. They mask it as self-care. I'm creating boundaries and positive energy. That's what they mask it as. It's about me and it's self-centered. That's what we're talking about. And it's really just an emotional immaturity that so many people have. But if there's a problem, fix it. Life is far too short for us to not say I'm sorry, to not say I love you. And I'm not saying you're not going to be close to everybody, essentially, but I wouldn't use that as an excuse to not try. Yeah. And Anthony tells me all the time, I used to be one to not want to have those difficult conversations. He's like, you got to have a conversation, Essence. You can't just sweep it under the rug. And it's crazy because so many people will be like, well, I'll come back. I'll talk to them later. I'm just too mad. And they never come back. You got to come back and have the conversation. Because conflict is inevitable in any relationship. It's necessary and it helps that relationship grow and, mature. But that's another reason why people go on and don't mend things because of emotional immaturity.
It's easy to get to the point where you feel like even somebody from the past, even somebody who, people who have wronged you or people who you think that they know they wronged you, or whatever it may be. Just letting things go. But I don't believe that that's biblical. You know, we have plenty of conversations about this. You know, hey, look, if somebody was in your life, they in your life.
Yeah.
There aren't too many reasons or situations where I believe that people can get truly excommunicated out your life for the average person.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, some people do some messed up stuff. Sometimes I don't even think it's always on purpose or as often on purpose as we think. Like, it's a lot of, like, we're inhuman. I mean, we're human.
Yeah.
You know, it's we do messed up things naturally, not on purpose, not purposely trying to be a detriment to the next person. It's just I messed up. You know what I'm saying? But we have to get out of all of that and actually move biblically. But like when the Bible talks about forgiveness, so many people just can leave the idea of forgiveness just on the table and, oh yeah, I forgive him. I'm not angry. I'm cool. I forgave him. But they said nothing to him.
They said nothing.
They had a conversation. They said nothing.
Right.
Like nothing at all. And fair enough. You know, the Webster's dictionary definition is, you know, it says releasing anger or releasing a refute with someone over an issue or whatever. But you know, you look at scripture, you look at examples like in Matthew 18, talking about, you know, forgiving somebody 70 times, 7 times 70.
That means you're forgiving them and you maintaining something.
Yeah. Like if you have to talk to that person, or you have to be able to forgive somebody that many times, there's a relationship still there.
Yes, it is.
I truly believe in forgiveness and reconciliation.
Yeah.
Right now. Now, don't get me wrong. There are things that could happen that will attribute to, we probably don't need to continue this relationship anymore.
I'll probably just love you from a distance.
This probably doesn't need to happen anymore. But I feel like that's so much more rare than it's believed to be. Yeah. Because we be emotional. Like we be emotional. It's they hurt me, but I'm not mad anymore. But I'm still not talking to them anymore. Right. Well, talk about it. Like talk. Like see where their heart is. See where everything is first before, you know.
I think sometimes people are scared to have those conversations because they are afraid of them being the problem. Mm-hmm. Nobody wants to look at themselves. Yeah. And so if they got to actually come and address whatever it is that was said or whatever it is that was done, there's a possibility that there's some fault on you. It's easier to believe it's the other person. And so we refuse those conversations. That's some heavy
humility right there, too.
Yeah.
That's some heavy humility right there.
Yeah, I agree. You know, when we talk about, you know, just kind of going back to gifts for a second, you know, when we're in pursuit of like success or things like that, anybody that's in business, and I feel like everybody is in business these days. Yeah. They're looking for worthwhile investments. Mm-hmm. And they're like, I want a return on my investment. If I put something in, I want a return on it. I don't want to come back negative. I don't want it to just come back as the same price or whatever it is that I put into it. I want a return, a good return on my investment. So when you think of all the gifts, when you think of all the gifts that God has instilled in you, all the love that he wants you to give out, don't you think God wants a return on his investment too?
That's deep.
I mean, her husband used the parable of the talents to describe Amber, and I thought it was perfect.
It's perfect.
She never buried her gifts in the ground. She didn't bury them. Mm-hmm. She handed them out, and she's going back to Christ. Yeah. Saying, well, I emptied it out. I tripled, quadrupled what you gave me. Yep. And when we say resting, she has all right to do so. Because she was exhausted. She exhausted everything. Mm-hmm. You know, it was funny. I was telling my mother-in-law what an honor it is for someone at her age to have accomplished everything God had set out for her to do. For her to have impacted so many lives. What an honor it is. What an honor it is to know a person like that. And it's funny, I put the her obituary on our buffet, and I walked by it and I'm like, I can't look at this. Like, I don't even know. I can't look at this. But she serves a daily reminder for me now of loving on somebody every day, outwardly. I had declared that every day I would give more of an effort of loving somebody outwardly. Because you know how you think, they know I love them. Like I said earlier, they know I love them. No, people need to feel it.
Yep.
They need to see it. And I don't want my funeral to come and I didn't impact nobody.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't impact nobody. I didn't change nobody's life.
Yeah.
I didn't allow God to do nothing with me. I was just in pursuit of all these things I can't take with me.
Yeah. Heavy.
Because although Amber was amazing on paper, she was amazing on paper. Her accomplishments can go on and on and on. Yep. Everything that she was involved in, it can go on and on and on. But when we talk about impacting lives, there's a difference there. Because now what you've instilled in somebody, what you've done with somebody, that can be duplicated.
Yep.
That can be replicated forever. One thing that you instill in somebody else, they can go on and duplicate that and duplicate that and duplicate that.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can't necessarily duplicate the degree you went after.
Yep. Everybody
can't necessarily duplicate the business that you built.
Yep.
Not everybody can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I know some people like say, if I did it, you did it. That's not what I'm saying. Of course, if you did it, I can do it. Right. But that's not everybody's calling on their life. Mm-hmm. Your calling ain't everybody's calling.
Yep.
However, the love that you instill in them, the discipline you instill in them, the Christ that you instill in them is something that can be duplicated forever. Mm-hmm. So we should be looking to make that impact in everybody's life. And she did it. Man, I'm floored. Yeah. And I regret not taking full advantage of that relationship as much as I could have. Yeah. I loved her. I still do. And it's crazy how people can make such an impact on your life. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. But that's, again, I think that takes me right back to what kind of what we were talking about in the beginning. What we have our gifts for, what are one of our reasons for being here. Yeah. That's one of the that's one of the things that Jesus commands, right? Is love your neighbor as you love yourself. Yeah. Like this is a command. It's a legit command. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And maybe that's one of those gifts that absolutely every single one of us are charged to. Yeah. Is loving the next person just as you love yourself. And that goes so much deeper when we think about it. Like if we really just remove all the cliche, remove all of that from it and think about, okay, what does it look like to love somebody as I love myself? It means I know for me, it means I'm making sure that I'm good. Yeah. Like I'm making sure that I'm good in every single way. Even the moments where I don't feel good about myself, the moments where I'm not happy, or the moments where I'm not feeling as confident, or I'm not feeling or I'm feeling really self-conscious and all of these different things. While I'm in it, I don't want to be in it, which means that I'm trying to do everything I can do to get out of it. Okay, well, how can we reflect that on somebody else?
Yeah, absolutely.
How can we help somebody else? Yeah. Show that to somebody else, move with somebody else in that way, or just be the opposite thing that would cause that to happen, right. In someone's life. It's really that deep. It's really that big of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, us even talking about her does it no justice. Mm-hmm. Does what she did no justice. Yeah. everybody needs an amber or needs to experience an amber.
Yep.
But in order for us to do that, or for people to experience an amber, they have to love.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be the closest to Christ that they can be. I mean, ultimately, that's what we want to do. We want to be like Christ.
Mm-hmm.
We want to love. So I'm going to encourage you out again.
Yeah.
Don't waste your time wasting your time. Don't wait to go after what it is that God told you to go after.
Yeah.
Don't wait to say, I love you. Don't wait to say, I apologize, I'm sorry. Don't wait to mend something. Just don't wait. Be intentional in all aspects of your life, in relationships, in your calling. Be intentional. Don't be lazy.
Yeah.
Don't be lazy. Go at everything at amber percent.
Amber%.
And that does not mean 100%. That means go the extra mile. Exhaust yourself, tire yourself every day. Saying so that when you meet our master, you can say, I've used it all, God. I'm empty. I don't have anything in me. There's no doubt in my mind that she is heard, well done.
Yep.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind.
Yep.
And I'm excited to be united with her one day. Maybe our mansions can be next door to each other or something.
Yeah.
But
it's going to be dope.
it's going to be amazing.
Because it's going to be a party with Amber.
Yeah.
We're going to kick it.
It's going to be a party with Amber. I would say this, and Amber was lit. I don't know how she found the energy. She was the life of the party.
Very.
I mean, when Amber was in the room, you couldn't help but to be happy.
Yep.
Be that light. Be the light in any darkness. Be the light at all times. Always be the one that's willing to love and go the extra mile. Yeah. That's what Amber did. Go at everything Amber percent.
Yep.
Ever since her husband, Travis, told us that, things have changed for us.
Yep.
It's changed. Yep. Your life is not your own. Time you do not own. So don't take your time because you really don't have it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's beautifully said, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's beautifully said. Thank you all once again for spending some time with us. And I think I'm fresh out.
Yeah, thank y'all for it. I agree. I'm fresh out too. Although I could talk about Amber all day, y'all would just be annoyed just going around and around and around. But be like Amber.
Go Amber%.
Go Amber%. We love y'all. And
till next week.
Till next week.
Yeah. We'll see y'all then.